I'm ready to let it go.
I'm not.
Cyrus plays therapist and mediator for TJ and Jonah, and Andi goes to her first high school party. Let's break down Season 3, Episode 8 of ANDI MACK and find out just what happened. Rise and shine on, you lovely people. Lisa here, and new episodes of ANDI MACK have finally returned, as have my recaps. So happy 2019 to all you ANDI MACK fans out there. So, in this episode, while Andi and Amber go to a warehouse party, what I was most excited for was seeing two characters interact in this episode, which we haven't really seen interact before on the show, except like, I think once. This episode, we get a little history into TJ and Jonah's past. Now, like I said, we've really only seen them interact that one time at Cyrus's bar mitzvah when TJ went to get Jonah help during the panic attack. But what is the rocky history with these two? Well, I'm about to talk about that, but you know, I gotta save that for later so that you guys will keep watching this video, right? Yeah, that's how this whole roping you in thing works. Or I guess you could just like skip ahead until we get to that point. But let's go ahead and start this recap off with the Andi and Amber drama. So, we know that Andi and Buffy's friendship has been kind of on the rocks and not the same since Buffy started dating Walker and, you know, broke so-called girl code, which Amber keeps bringing up, but then like we see Andi kind of like questioning what on earth is girl code and is it like actually loose guidelines, all that kind of thing. But like I said, things have been a little bit off between Andi and Buffy. So Buffy in this episode tries to get things back on track and back to normal by inviting Andi over to a dance movie marathon the next evening. Honestly, I would show up for this movie marathon. It makes me actually want to make this own movie marathon at home because I think I own most of these movies. But I'm gonna have to disagree with Andi and Buffy here on their favorite Step Up movie. They claim that Step Up 3D, I think, is the best one in the franchise. And, you know, I'm just kind of a sucker for the OG. And then some of the dance scenes in the last couple movies, those were ridiculous. So we wouldn't be watching Step Up 3D twice in my movie marathon. Anyway, unfortunately, Andi has plans with Amber on that night, so she can't make it and asks if, you know, the current night is okay. But you know what? Buffy happens to have plans with Walker, so they decide that they got to make plans for the next weekend. And to make me really feel old in this episode, they say this.
I never thought we'd have to make a plan.
I know. What are we, 20?
But just so they know, when you get old, you don't necessarily still make plans, because I still suck at making plans. It's just kind of like, oh, you want to do something now? Okay, cool. Don't ask me to make plans. I'm not good at that. But with this friendship here, you can tell things are just not the same, and it kind of makes me a little bit sad inside. But the next night, Amber brings Andi to her first high school party, which is not the kind of party she was expecting. It's like this huge blowout party at a warehouse. Now, when I was in high school, I was not one of the cool kids in school. I'm pretty sure these parties did not exist, at least parties like this. I feel like most people just had little house parties, or maybe I just wasn't cool enough to be invited to these parties. But seeing this party on this show makes me wonder how much money these kids have. Who's paying for these parties? It did not look like there was a charge or a cover fee, so how are they getting money? And you can tell this, what makes me laugh about this party is just like how you can tell it's acted, because does DJ really dance like what this guy in the show is doing? If I went to this party, I'd probably be in Andi's situation, because Andi is just overwhelmed, not having fun. She ends up being separated from Amber, and it's just like, what is she gonna do? She doesn't actually want to be there. So she does the responsible thing and texts Bowie about the party, asking them to come get her. She even drops a pin with her location. Now this text, how it might have been actually kind of the right thing to do, ends up ruining and interrupting a super cute romantic date that Bowie planned for Bex. So now Bowie must put his dad hat on and ditch the horse and carriage ride to run and get Andi. And by run, I literally mean run. And while it may be frustrating, before he leaves, Bex does say such a beautiful thing to Bowie.
You're killing it as a dad.
And off runs Bowie to get Andi, and right as he finds Andi and they're about to leave, Amber shows up and finds Andi, and things just get awkward. Bowie kind of scolds both of them, and Andi thinks this is an act, but Bowie reveals to Andi that wasn't an act. He was not kidding. He has actually lost his trust in Andy, and that's when he has this major realization. He's turned into his own dad, and as we get older, you find more things about that you picked up from your parents that you thought you never would. So that's, for me, at least being on the older end of the audience, definitely relates to that. But, you know, Andy ends up saying something that mirrors what Bex told Bowie earlier in the situation about being a dad.
I just turned into my dad.
Actually, I think you just turned into my dad.
Yeah, if anything, Bowie should be like patting himself on the back. Like, he's earning awesome dad stripes. Like, at the beginning of the show when he first came in, you were like, this guy's not gonna be a good dad. He's like a space cadet. Like, he's just like immature, irresponsible, and we have seen such growth with him, and I love it. And after this sweet moment, Bex shows up in the horse and carriage, and these three ride off into the sunset as a cute little family. But there's no actual sunset, but you get to what I mean here. And then we see Andy with a bag of popcorn showing up on Buffy's doorstep, and they end up having their dance movie marathon. And it seems like they may be on their way to mending their relationship and rewriting this so-called girl code and whatnot, and finding some way to smooth this stuff out. But what I find interesting here is that Bowie and Bex, they were pretty mad at Andy, right? And I feel like I would have immediately been grounded for weeks if this had happened to me. So how was Andy immediately allowed to go over to Buffy's after this whole ordeal? Like, she's very lucky. Like, maybe she earned a reduced sentence since she technically did do kind of the right thing, or maybe they were like, your punishment can start the next day. I don't know here, but either way, like I said, I loved Bowie's progression in this episode, his realization he can be a dad, he's a good dad, and I love that. And I also just loved Bex and Bowie in this, you know, their cute little relationship and how they were like, you could tell they're really in love and excited to grow old with each other. I started singing that Adam Sandler song from The Wedding Singer about growing old with you, and it just makes me really excited for their wedding, honestly. But after that little cute moment, it's like, what's gonna happen with Andy and Amber now, you know? Amber actually did look like she was genuinely sorry about getting Andy into this situation, but let's get to the real drama of this episode. And it's not girl drama this time, it's boy drama. Okay, so Cyrus's stepdad has finally cleared out the basement, so Cyrus invites Jonah over to prove to him that he has a ping pong table. They start playing ping pong, and it seems like Jonah's really bad at this, and it's like, is he letting Cyrus win? Is he not? It genuinely kind of seems like he actually sucks at ping pong. But you know what? Jonah has a smile on his face, his signature smile, this whole entire time as he's losing. So to me, he's like the happiest loser in a game I've ever seen. His smile is turned upside down very quickly when TJ arrives, and Jonah's like, you know what? I'm out of here, you guys can play. So Cyrus and TJ, they kind of think at first Jonah's mad over the whole gun situation with TJ and his friends, but Cyrus is like, we worked that out. And then they think it's because Jonah's a sore loser. But it turns out to be something more deeply rooted than that, and it's a little tiff from their childhood. Cyrus finally gets Jonah to tell him the story, and it turns out that TJ and Jonah played on the same Little League team back in the day. And Jonah was so excited to get his jersey with his favorite baseball player's number on it, 21. And Jonah had these big dreams of being an athlete, going pro, playing sports, all that kind of thing. He really loved sports. Well, when he found out that someone had stolen his jersey and that someone was TJ, they ended up getting in a fight over it, and Jonah ended up quitting sports after that because he never wanted to be on a team again with TJ or TJ's friends. And Jonah then thinks that it must sound like a dumb grudge to hold against TJ.
No, it's not stupid. Clearly, this was an important moment in your life. Without it, you might have been a completely different person.
Now, after like talking about it and being more mature than he was back then, Jonah realizes maybe it's time to let this whole thing go. But Cyrus says it's not. He shows that the apple does not fall far from the tree here, and he would make a good therapist like his parents. So he gets TJ and Jonah together to talk about this situation. Now, TJ says that this story's crazy, never happened, while Jonah's like, no, it happened, and yes, an argument ensues because, you know, people remember things differently. And then Cyrus decides to pull out the receipts and resolve the situation. The Little League happens to have a website with a bunch of old pictures, including a picture of their team from that year. And in the picture, we see young Jonah all pouty standing next to TJ, who's proudly wearing a jersey with the number 21 on it. And now TJ's like, oh crap, you were right. And he apologizes, and Jonah also apologizes for holding a grudge too. And that's when they both open up about their personal struggles. TJ reveals that he has dyscalculia, and so he thought the number on the jersey was a 12, not a 21, and that's why he took it. And as Jonah apologizes as well, he thanks TJ for actually helping him at the bar mitzvah. And TJ's like, yeah, man, what was going on there? And Jonah opens up about his own anxiety and panic attacks.
Everyone's got something they got to deal with.
Fear of flamingos. Both real and plastic.
And yes, the boys have made up for now. And now I'm hoping we actually get to see more of TJ, Jonah, and Cyrus hanging out together. Like, I feel like they can be like the three musketeers or three amigos of the show. And I feel like that would actually kind of be a fun dynamic to see. Now, it's also cute if you're a fan of Asher Angel. You know he has an adorable little brother who actually guest starred in this episode, and he was the kid who played the young version of TJ in those flashbacks. And it was actually interesting that he wasn't the young version of Jonah, because you think they look so much alike. That would be interesting. But instead, they kind of gave us a little twist here, and it was something we didn't expect. So that basically wraps up the events of this episode, which had its super cute moments, like that moment with Bex and Bowie, like I said, that actually made me feel more emotions than I ever thought I would. Like, that's the thing that got me in this episode, which makes me feel like I definitely am getting old. Anyways, what is next for the show? Well, in the promo for the next episode, we do have a storyline with Bex and Cece searching for a wedding dress, which always is going to seem like it's dramatic.
There's more?
Bex, this is the one.
I wish Andy were here.
Andy!
With this, it's like, shoot, why are they like, Andy? Like, do they think Annie's gonna be mad that she's not dress shopping with them, which I feel like actually would be a thing? Or did they like actually forget her somewhere? You know, like when you forget to pick somebody up or something like that. I don't know. But also, while it seemed like in this episode we had Buffy and Andy sort of making up, it seems like that's going to be very short-lived, as we learned in the promo that Jefferson has some kind of secret society that Jonah belongs to that's looking to recruit one of the other members of the Good Hair Crew, and that's going to cause drama.
You know that Jefferson has a secret society. One of you's going to be invited to join.
Which one?
I knew this is what would happen.
Buffy!
Now this makes me wonder if this is realistic at all. TV really just kind of goes out there, because do middle schools really have secret societies? Do schools in general, besides those Ivy League colleges that I think is a real thing? I feel like that's just a thing though that happens in TVs and movies just to make it seem cooler, right? No, I'm very curious though what kind of secret society a middle school could have. But that's all of my rambling for this week when it comes to Andy Mack. Now it's time for you to hit the comments and leave your thoughts about this episode. Did you like the whole TJ and Jonah storyline? Do you think that Andy will hang out with Amber again? And what are your thoughts on this whole secret society thing? Sound off and let me know, and then you can click right over here for more of my recaps, other videos, very cool things. Don't forget to subscribe, because I am uploading random things all the time. As always, my name's Lisa. Thanks for celebrating 2019 and Andy Mack with me, and I'll see you next time.